And we're beginning with the lighting of the candles on page 69. But I don't know who's lighting the candles. Etty, thank you.
I'm lighting the candles, sorry.
We just invited you.
Thank you. Amen. Psalm 95, page 70. Lechun ranana l'Adonai, naria l'tzur yishenu, nekadma fana b'toda, bizmirot naria lo, ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher b'yado mekrei haaretz, v'tovot harim lo. Asher lo hayam v'hu asau, v'yabeshet yadav yatzaru, bo'u nishtachave v'nivracha, nivracha lifnei Adonai Oseinu, ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito, v'tzohan yado, hayom im b'kolo tishma'u. On page 76, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tehem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
And to page 85, we read responsively from Psalm 84 on page 85. How lovely are your dwelling places, God of the hosts of heaven. My soul longs and yearns for your courts. As the sparrow finds a home and the swallow has a nest where she may lay her young. Happy are those who dwell in your house. Happy are those who find their strength in you. Passing to the driest valley, they find it a place of springs. They go from strength to strength. God of the hosts of heaven, hear my prayer. One day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. Eternal God, you are a sun and a shield. You withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. Lecha Dodi, page 91.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, v'ni Shabbat v'kavela. Lecha Dodi לקראת שבת מכוונת כי כמו הברכה
מראש מקדם
וסוכה תוך מעשה במחשבה תקינה לך דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
התעוררי
התעוררי כי באורך ומאורי אורי
יורי שיר דברי
כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה אורי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי דודי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Let us be seated and at the top of page 93. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמורותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה כולל אור מבני חושך וחושך מבני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהנגן יומם ולילה נגן יומם ולילה ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב
read together the Shema, the Declaration of Faith, on page 94. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Hashem kavod malchuto la'olam va'ed. Havta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha, u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol mo'odecha. V'hayu harvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha hayom, al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. U'kshatam la'ot al yadecha, v'hayu lo totofot bein inecha, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם אל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. Ani Adonai Elohechem. When the children of Israel witnessed your power, they praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly they accepted your rule. Then full of joy they sang together, Mi Chamocha. כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, ולא מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. We praise you, O God, Redeemer of Israel. השכיבנו. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל. We praise you, O God, may your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth. The Amidah, the Tefillah, the daily prayer. Adonai, Sevatai Tiftachu fi Yagi Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocheh Chastevot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'Neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshe U'Magen Baruch Atar Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפו, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. You are holy, awesome is your name. We have no God but you. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Let us be seated. Middle of page 99. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-shabbat. La'asot et ha-shabbat ledorotam. Perit olam beni uven bnei Yisrael oti leolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat, Shabbat vayinafash. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. We're now into the Thanksgiving section of the Amidah, middle of page 100. A prayer now about worship and us being together as a community, traditionally a prayer about temple worship and the restoration of that building in Jerusalem. And it's signing off, it's Chatima, it's Baruch atah Adonai, is Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha bi'ira avod. We praise you, O God, Him alone we worship in reverence. The second of the Thanksgiving prayers is a general one, known by its first word, Modim, and its Chatima is Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehadot. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Let us read the final Thanksgiving prayer for peace together. Supreme source of peace, grant true and lasting peace to your people Israel. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples may be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. Baruch atah Adonai osei hashalom. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. A few moments of silence now. There was a guided reading on pages 101 and 102. Yiratzon imrefi, Yiratzon imrefi, V'hegion libi lefonecha, V'hegion libi lefonecha, Adonai tzuri v'goali, Adonai tzuri v'goali. I understand that Liberal Judaism has now republished, or at least published more copies of Siddur Lev Chadash, and whether you would prefer that or the new draft is not relevant at the moment, but suffice to say that when Siddur Lev Chadash was produced, I think in 1995, one of its great innovations was the theme readings for each Shabbat. And I'm afraid to say that slowly, and of course all synagogues start very keen and do them, and then over time they fall away for all sorts of maybe good reasons or not good reasons. But were one to read the themes alone, the 52 themes here, one would have a good selection of religious material, Jewish and non-Jewish, ancient and modern. So I thought I'd take you to the one for this week, which is, I just lost it, Jewish history on page 321. Page 321. Tomorrow's parasha is in fact the last of the book of Numbers. It's called Mas'eh, which is something to do with journeying, so a stage on a journey. And the opening words of the Torah portion are in fact on page 321. Ele ma'aseh v'nei Yisrael. These are the journey stages of the children of Israel, Asher yatzu me'eretz Mitzrayim, when they came out from the land of Egypt. Jewish history may be seen as one long journey, which began even before Egypt, when God said to Abraham, "Go from your country and from your birthplace and from your ancestral home to the land that I will show you." Abraham and Sarah were not forced to leave their native land, nor did they go in search of wealth or pleasure. Their errand was to build a society that would reflect God's will and be an example to humanity. "I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you may be a blessing." Often we Jews have been driven from our homes by war and persecution and crossed the seas in search of safety and opportunity. Sometimes we have settled on friendly soil for many generations, and sometimes we've been drawn back as by a magnet to our old new homeland. We've gone up to the land to rebuild it and be rebuilt by it. But always like Abraham and Sarah, we have known ourselves to be engaged upon a journey not yet ended, to a destination not yet reached, a journey towards a better world. Not all have stayed the course. Some have dropped out. But because most have been faithful, we have survived. You who have held fast the Eternal One, your God, are all alive today. That Jews should be interested in themselves is understandable. But their experience in history has aroused almost as much interest and comment from outside observers. Their stubborn fidelity to the faith of their ancestors, their resilience in adversity, and their knack for adapting their talents and energies to changed circumstances have ensured their survival long after the Greek civilization, which treated them with condescension. Yes, it's got a bit hot in here, a bit wet. I'll say that again. Has ensured their survival long after the Greek civilization, which treated them with condescension, and the Roman Empire, which held them in contempt, have passed into oblivion. Kingdoms come. Surely we who are Jews should take pride in our history, not to boast, not to gloss over shortcomings, not to idealize or romanticize, and not to dwell on the past, but in wonder and gratitude, and so that from the day we have already come, we may draw strength for our onward journey. Most clearly, when we look back upon the history of our own people. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, we survived oppression and exile, overcoming time and again the forces that would have destroyed us. We were beset by the weaknesses and faults common to all humanity, yet it's been our glory to testify to the unity of God, to hold up before the world an example of courage, and to keep alive in dark ages a vision of justice and compassion. Over the page to 324. God of Israel, teach us to understand our responsibility as Jews, to continue the task begun by earlier generations of our people who heard themselves called in your name to bring light and blessing to all the families of the earth. O God, make us worthy of our great part, that we may become builders of an even greater future. Shortened concluding prayers, page 519. When you found them, if you wish to stand, because we'll be going then on to the Kaddish. Page 519. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Baruch Adonai Elohim, Elohei Yisrael, Osei niflaot levado, Uvaruch Shem kavodo le'olam, V'yimalei kavodo et kol haaretz. The eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. May your love, O God, rest upon us as we rest our hope in you. All the nations you have made shall come down and bow before you and honor your name. But let God be praised by night. Let God be praised when we lie down. God be praised when we rise up. Avinu shebashamayim yached shimcha, v'kayem melchutecha tamid, u'meloch aleinu la'olam va'ed. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch la'olam va'ed. We turn now to the Kaddish, which is that prayer associated with death, although that was not its original intention. And perhaps it's there as a reminder that the gift of life is worthy of praise, and the living of life, whether it be short or long, too short or too long, troubled or blissful, or probably a combination of both, that whatever measure of life, quality and quantity, is worth the effort and to be valued. And it's in that sense that we recall for Yahrzeit this evening Lena Needleman, aunt of Adele Carr, John Green, husband of Anita, Margit Goodman, mother of Karen, and Rachel Rosenberg, mother of Daniel. Any other Yahrzeits that were not on the list? Of those we say, Zichronom Levracha, may their memories serve as a blessing and as a source of inspiration to those who are privileged to share a part of their lives. Page 524 of the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei Rabbah, b'alma divra chirite v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman kari v'meru, Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mavarach L'Olam L'Almei Almaya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ah, Yitmamam, Yitnaseh. Yittada, Yitalev Talal, Shemei de Kudusha, Berichu. Le'ela min kol bechata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. T'amiran ba'alma v'maru. Yehei Shalom Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'maru. Osei Shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol b'nei Adam v'maru. Amen. May great peace descend from heaven and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, to the peoples of the Ukraine, and to all humanity. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated for just a moment. To remind you, you probably know this, there's no Ivriar tomorrow. Our service will begin at 11 o'clock. I will be taking it and will be accompanied by, the music will be led and delivered by Franklin, of course, whom you know well. And I've invited Rabbi Cantor Gershon Sillins to do half my work for me tomorrow morning. So I have no other notices, so that's all I can tell you. No, we're going to finish Maya Fe Hayom, I think. No, you don't need it. You want to come here? So very simply, it's a very simple song. It goes like this. Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. So thank you for accompanying me in the Shabbat evening service tonight. Thank you to David and Michael who've been doing our technology. Thank you for bringing Dean's music to us. Thank you very much for that. Went without a hitch. Well done. And let us join for Kiddush in just a moment.